Hi, this is video 2 of the Absolute Beginner for Maya Series 2, where we are working with Polygon primitives. In the previous video we took a look at navigation and creating the primitives. In this one we're going to move forward. We're going to talk about selection, move, scale, and rotate, and the duplicate tools. So let's get started. First of all, selection. Whenever you create an object, in the scene, usually it's really simple. Left click will select that, and this assumes that you're in this selection tool here, or one of these move, scale, rotate. And if you're ever not in that tool, you can hit Q on the keyboard, which will put you in that mode, or you can just click the arrow here. If there are multiple objects, I'm going to take this and click the move tool and move it out of the way, and create another one here. I'm going to move it out of the way. And as you notice, as it's created, if I have the move tool selected, I get these arrows, and I can just pull in one of these axis directions to move it around. So if I select one and hold down shift and select the second one, you notice that one is white and one is green. The last one selected is always going to be your active selection, and it's going to be the green one. The other ones will appear as white. You can also select by drawing a box. So I can draw a box around these two, and it selects these two objects. I can draw a box around this one. I can click on one, and I can hold shift and click another. If I hold shift and click the same one, it works as a toggle. So if I select these and I wanted to deselect, I'm holding shift and I can deselect that one. Hold down shift and click. And I think shift works also as dragging. So this one's selected, these two are not. If I drag a box around here and release it, it's going to deselect this one and select these two. So this is, here we go. So I was holding down shift, and notice how it toggled. So now these two are selected and that one's not. Now moving on to move, scale, rotate. What I'd like to do is when I'm just hitting delete to delete those. When I create an object, if I hit the W key, now there's a row of letters on the keyboard starting with the top row of letters. It starts with Q, W, E, R. I'll put my pinky on Q of my left hand, and those serve as shortcut keys. The Q is for select, W is for move, E is for rotate, and R is for scale. So I can hit W and I can begin pulling these manipulators, and each one corresponds with one of the axes here. So I can pull in this direction, I can pull in Y, and you can move around quite easily that way. You can also enter values directly in to the channel box over here, like that. Again, I can hit F to frame, A to frame. I can hit E if I wanted to rotate. So that's another one of those things, kind of like the navigation. You'll have to practice, and it will become second nature in no time. The R is for scale. I can scale universally or in one direction. So that's your move, and you can use the icons here as well: move, scale, and rotate. I hit F to frame. You'll also notice these little squares. Even in the scale, if I wanted to constrain just to one axis, I could pull a single value, or what's at the end there. I think when it move, it's an arrow. When it's scale, it's a box. But if I want to constrain in two axes, I can grab this here, and or here, or here. It's also useful to go into your 4 view by tapping spacebar, and I can move these things around. There's things like snapping. If I hold down X, you'll notice that the square here changes to a circle. That's going into a snapping mode. And I think if I open up here, you can see as I hold down X, it turns on this snap here, snap to grid. which is useful at times. You can snap to other things, but when you're placing something, if it needs to be really exact. Not going into all the snapping, just wanted to introduce that. So we've talked about selection, move, scale, and rotate. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just the duplicate shortcut. Before I do the shortcut, you can always go to edit, duplicate, and it looks like nothing happened, but if I pull this box, you notice that there was another object made. It's just made in the same spot. So if I move that out of the way, hit edit, duplicate, actually I thought it would make it at the origin, but it made it exactly where the other box was. You can also do that with Command D, and that's a shortcut I use quite a lot. I can select multiple and Command D, and if you want to create a small army really quickly, or make a small army a big army, so that's how you would duplicate an object. Also, if you have multiple selected, whatever move, scale, or rotate function you do to one does to all. For example, if I begin to scale this one, it will scale all of these as if I had each one of them selected, which is kind of nice. That's it for this video, and in the next video we're going to move on and begin to talk about pivot points. We're going to open the outliner, look at naming conventions, and talk about grouping and parenting. Please join us there.